Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rebecca. In this video, I'm going to be explaining Chapter 18, Database of Cambridge IGCSE ICT. And I'm going to be following this outline. Okay, so the first thing we need to look at is how to create a flat file database from an existing data file. Okay, but before we create a flat file database, we need to understand what a flat file database is. So a flat file database is a database that stores data in one table. It's a database that stores data in one table. Okay, so let's for example, let's create a flat file database. So I'm going to be using Microsoft Access. Okay, and I'm going to name this database 1. Okay, so you can close this empty table. Okay, you can use that empty table if you want to create manually. Okay, but I am trying to create a database from an existing table. Existing table means I already have a file containing the table, maybe a spreadsheet file. Okay, so to import the file, we need to click on external data and then click on text file. Okay, for some software, some software version, when you click external data, you would see on this left side new data source. So you need to click on new data source and then click on from file and then text file. Okay, but if your software version is 2016, then this is what you would see. So click on external data and then text file and then browse. Then you can go to your folder where you have the files. Okay, so at this stage, before we proceed, you need to first of all understand what this delimited is. Okay, as you can see, characters such as comma or table separated field. So delimiter means a character or sequence of character that is used to separate or distinguish data elements within a field. Okay, if you use a notepad or a Microsoft Word software to open this file, you are going to see data like this. Okay, you can see that the data is separated using comma. Okay, so that is what we call delimited. Okay, so then we click next. Now we have to check the first row. Okay, if we don't check the first row, then the field names will automatically come as the normal data, as the normal data. Okay, so when we check the first row, then it will take this first row data as the field names. Okay, then next, and then next. Now we need to choose the primary key. But before we choose the primary key, what is a primary key? So a primary key is that field that uniquely identifies each record in a table. Okay, for example, this file, okay, I want to call a record. Maybe I just want to see all the details for let's say Cooper. I want to see all the details for Cooper. So if I use model as the primary key, then I can just, when I'm creating my query or report, then I can use this Cooper to show all the records. Okay, to show all the data in this row for Cooper. Okay, now how do we identify a primary key? Okay, so I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to open the file first. Okay, I'm just going to open the file using spreadsheet. How can we identify a primary key? I said that a primary key is a field name or a field that uniquely identifies a record. Okay, now what does this mean? It means that in this field we cannot have repeated data. We cannot have repeated data, just like your passport number cannot be repeated. It is unique to you. Okay, your student ID is unique to you. So that is a primary key. So to identify a primary key in a file, what you can do is make sure you are at the home page, and then you can select this, click on conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, and then duplicate values. So you want this to highlight whether this field contain duplicate values. As we can see, it has duplicate values, so this cannot be the primary key. Okay, so we are going to check them one after the other. Okay, this also contains duplicate values. Okay, all of this data contain duplicate values. So I'm going to try open another file. Okay, so let's see this one. Conditional formatting, duplicate values. Okay, so as we can see, this field name customer does not contain duplicate value. So this field name is our primary key, meaning that if I want to see record for customer C4, so I can use this value C4 to show all the data that belongs to C4. Okay, so let's don't save. Okay, so now let's import the file again. Customer. Okay, next. Check the first row. Next. Now I'm going to choose the primary key. Okay, and my primary key, of course, I can click on the drop down, or I can on this part. Okay, so my primary key is customer ID, and then next, and then finish. Okay, to view this table, just double click on it, and this is a flat file database. Okay, a database that consists of one table. Okay, so that is how we set primary key. Now let's say that let's assume I'm going to delete this file. Okay, and import again without selecting the primary key. No primary key. Now I have imported this file without choosing any primary key, and I need to set the primary key. Okay, what I can do is click on here and go to design view, and then this I want to use customer ID as the primary key, so I'm going to right click and then primary key, and automatically you can see the primary key symbol on the field. Okay, so this is the primary key. Okay, now let's create a relational database by creating relationships between tables. What is a relational database? A relational database refers to a database that contains more than one table linked together. It contains more than one table linked together. So how to create a relational database? Of course, to create a relational database, when we have 2 tables, 3 tables, then we have to link them together. When we link them together, it means we are creating relationships. Okay, so I'm going to import a new file. text file. Okay, so now these two tables, I need to link them together. Okay, to link them together, all I just need to do is go to database tools, relationship, and then add each table. Okay, I need to adjust this to make it more, to show all the field names. Okay, sorry. Okay, so if I want to create a relationship, okay, all I just need to do is click on. Now, the relationship we create in database for the sake of IGCSE is one-to-many relationship. One-to-many. Now, what does one-to-many means? One-to-many means, for example, a customer can buy many model of a car. One customer can buy any model of a car. So to create the relationship, I just need to click on this and then drag to model and release my hand from the mouse. Okay, so you can see one-to-many relationship has been created, and then I just need to click on create. Okay, if I feel like I've made a mistake in this relationship, I can just right click, edit, or delete. Okay, so that is how we create relationship in a table. Okay. Okay, now set appropriate data types. First of all, what is a data type? So a data type defines the kind of data that can be stored in a field. Okay, it defines the kind of data that can be stored in a field. Okay, for example, let's go to the design view table. Okay, we have this data. Sorry, I want this one. Okay, we have this data that says customer ID, name, address 123, zip code, and discount. Now, why do we use data type? Okay, we use data type to restrict or to make sure that the data that is input into a form is correct. For example, when I want someone to input their name, I don't want to see numbers. They can mistakenly type number. Or I want someone to enter their phone number. While typing, they can mistakenly type letters, which would be wrong. Okay, so I can actually restrict that. So to restrict that, we use data types. Okay, and we have so many examples, so many data types. Okay, so we have the one for short text. When I say that this field name, okay, that it is short text, it means that it can accept both numbers, letters, symbols. But because this is short text, it is restricted to 255 characters. It is restricted to 255 characters. But if I don't want the text to be restricted to a certain number of characters, then I'm going to select long text. Then the next one, we have numbers. We use number when we only want to see numbers entered into the system. For example, phone number. Okay, we only want numbers. Then we have date or time, meaning that the data that will be accepted into that field can only be date or time. Then we have currency. Okay, so currency means that the data that will be entered will come along with currency symbol. Then we have auto number. So auto number, the system will automatically generate numbering, okay, for the data that is being entered. We have yes or no. Okay, so yes or no is called Boolean values. So let's say you want to have a checkbox that says yes or no. Then we can use Boolean, yes or no. Okay, or you want to have true or false, then we use yes or no. Then we have only objects. Now this one we don't use this in IGCSE ICT database. Okay, but it's good for you to know. Okay, so what is store is that it stores binary data such as images, audio, documents, whatsoever. Then we have hyperlinks. So hyperlink stores hyperlink, okay, a URL address. Then we have attachments. Okay, we use that to store files. For example, when I create a form and you need to maybe upload your picture, upload your resume, then I'm going to use attachment as the data type. Okay, then we have lookup wizard. Okay, so this is not it's technically not a data type by itself, but it lets you create a drop down if a drop down of values from another table. Okay, now there are two ways to set data type. You can either import the file first and then you come to the design view and then change the data type, or you change the data type while you're importing the files. You can do any of these two, but when you have a data type that contains yes or no, I always advise to change the data type while importing the file, because sometimes when you import the file and then you come to design view to change the data type, then you are unable to fix yes or no. Okay, it will show as numbers. Okay, it will show as true or false number, which you do not want. Okay, for example, let me try, and I'm going to import a file, text file, browse, student, next. Next. Now you can change the data type by clicking on advanced. Okay, and then data type is here. You can come here and change the data type. Okay, we can change the data type from this part. Okay, now there are some times that the question would say that you should import a file and skip a specific field, meaning that, for example, the question says to skip math. You do not have to delete it manually, but you skip. So when you're importing, you click on advanced when you get to this stage, and then you check this. So when this file imports, it's going to skip student name. Okay, it's going to skip student name. Also, something I want to mention is most times the question will say, not most times, always, the question will say the date order should be in DMY. So you have to check your computer settings also to make sure that the date order is correct. Okay, so the date order is DMY, and I want to skip this student name. So I'm going to import this file. Okay, so as we can see, the student name has been skipped. Okay, the student name has been skipped from importing. Okay, so that is all for data types. Now, how to set the display format of data type. Okay, the display format. Now, to set the display format, you can go to design view. I'm going to show you an IG question. Okay, for example, Let's say you have a field name like this, the data type. For example, date of birth, you should show according to day, month, year. According to day, month, year. And Boolean should be yes or no. So what you would do is, so you go to, this is the design view. Okay, I'm going to add date. Okay, and the data type. Okay, the data type should be date or time. Now the format, I will click on this drop down and I can choose the format I want. If it is time, okay, you can choose. Sometimes they will give you in the spreadsheet, you can see the format. Okay, so you would choose either it is medium date, short date, long date. Okay, now if it's a yes or no, okay, let's say math is yes or no. Okay, Boolean. So the format should display yes or no. Then when you come to lookup, usually for your IG, it needs to show yes or no. So you need to change this to text box. But because when I'm importing, I didn't change the settings from advanced, so I cannot change this to check to text box. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to delete this. Okay, I'm going to delete and then try to re-import again. External data, text file, student. Advanced, and I'm going to make math yes or no here, and then click on OK, and then finish. So I'm going to, in case you import a file and you have another table that shows import error, you can just delete the table. Okay, now go to home and then design view. Now this is showing yes or no, and I'll go to the format and choose yes or no, and then when I go to the lookup, automatically it will be text box. But if you import the file first, then you might not be able to change this to text box. Okay, that is for display format. Okay, whatsoever format you're given, when you just click on the data type, you can always go to the general and change the format. Okay, enter new data into a database. Okay, if you want to enter data into a database, that can be done manually. Okay, you can just go to the spreadsheet and then scroll down to the last part of it, and then you enter the data manually. Okay, that can be done. Okay, new field name. Okay, if you want to create a new field name, let's say I want to create another subject. Okay, you can go to the design view and then come here and write ICT and then specify the data type, and then go to datasheet view, save, then you will see the field name ICT. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is how to create and edit a data entry form. How to create and edit a data entry form. So now, instead of typing the data manually, right, you can actually create a form that people will fill up and the data automatically enters into the table. The data automatically enters into the table. Now, to create the data entry form from an existing table, okay, to create a data entry form, what we need to do is I'm going to close all. Now what we need to do is make sure that that table that we want to use has been selected. Okay, for example, I want to make use of student table. So I need to ensure that that's customer, okay, that I have selected student table. And then I will just click on create and then form wizard. Click on form wizard. Then of course I need to move all of this data into this selected field. Okay, if you want to move just 2-3 data, you can use this to move them, select and move. But in this case, of course, I need all these field names for the form. So I'm going to click on this to move all at once. Okay, all at once. And then I'll click on next. So I'm creating a columnar data. Columnar form. So next, whatever title you want to give the form, okay, and then finish. Okay, so this is what the form looks like. Okay, now the next thing we are going to look at is how to format the form. Okay, if you want to format the form to make it, the question they can ask you in the question to make some changes to the form. So to make some changes to the form, they are basically asking you to do some formattings, background color, alignments, this and that. Just few of the changes that can be made to the form to make it look nice. Okay, so to do that, you need to, but before we do that, okay, let's see. All of these buttons, what are they meant for? The first button means first record. This button means the next record. This button means the last record. This button means a new record, meaning that you want to open the form, create a fresh form to be able to input data. Okay, so let's try to edit how this form looks like. Okay, to do that, I'm going to go to the design view. Okay, so this is what the form looks like. Okay, let's say I want this to be centered align. Okay, I can select this all and then click on data format, and I can look for alignment. Okay, alignment, text align. Okay, and choose center, and then it aligns the text center. Okay, now let's say I want this. Okay, I can drag this down here. I want this to have a background color. Okay, background color. Okay, if this formatting here is a bit complicated, you can just use the home formatting. Okay, the background color should be, let's say, red. Okay, and the text is let's say white. It is bold. You can increase the size. Okay, it's just better to use the formatting at the home page. It's much more easier. Okay, so this is a formatting that you can do. Okay, another formatting you can do is you can actually add another text. Okay, I'm going to move this up. Okay, I want to have another text after this form. Okay, just to give instructions. Okay, so for me to do that, I'm going to use, in the controls, I'm going to use the label button. So I'm going to click on label, and then I can type my instructions. Please fill up this form correctly. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the form view. Let's see how. So this is what our form looks like now. Okay, so let's say that I want to have another field name where the person filling up the form will be able to input, type their age or type the name of their tutor. Okay, I want another input where the user will be able to select, okay, from a drop down list, select the age. I also want to have another field name where the student or the user will be able to click from a drop down of year group. So for me to do that, first of all, I'm going to close this form and I'm going to go to the table because I need to create the table for the field name for those items. Okay, so I will go to design view and then add them. So I want tutor, okay, age, okay, and then year group, okay, and of course I want my data type to be text. Okay, and I'm going to save this. Then I will go back to the form view. Okay, as we can see, this is already showing. I'll go back to the form view and then go back to design view. So I'm going to do the first one, which is I'm going to make use of text box. So the text box means that the student will be able to type whatsoever data they want to type. Okay, so from the controls, I'm going to use this, which is the text box, and then this here. So I have two items here. So in this text place, I need to type what the field name is. So it is tutor, okay? And I want the student to be able to type tutor in here. But I need to select which field this data should go in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is click on property sheet. Okay, so after clicking on property sheet, then I need to click on data and then control source. I need to select which field name will the data go into. So tutor. Okay, and then I can save. So when I go back to the form view, okay, as you can see, we have tutor, and then this can be typed in. So this is for text box. Now, in the case where I want the form to have like a list of items, a list of items where the student can just click and choose the item. Okay, so let's go back to the design view. So I want to have list of item for year group. So to do that, I can use the option group. Okay, I'm going to click on the option group. So I need to put the labels. Okay, so year 1, year 2, year 3, year 3, and year 4. Now when I click on next, do you want one option for the default choice? Yes. Next. Now what are the values? Year 1 can be the student age is 15. Okay, the student group is group 15, or let's just leave it at group 1. The student group is group 2, meaning that when they choose year 2, the data that will be entered, that will be stored, will be 2. And then click on next. Okay, so where do we want the data to be stored in? We want the data to be stored in the year group. Next. So we are using option buttons. If you want it to be a checkbox, you can use a checkbox. Next. So what should be the caption? Okay, year group, and then finish. So we can see, okay, I'm just going to adjust this. Okay, so let's go to the form view. So this is what it looks like. So it means that the user can just select this item. Now, what if I want to manage the space on my form? Because this is taking a lot of space. I can actually make it like a drop-down menu. Okay? A drop-down menu. So for me to do that, I'm going to go back again to design view. And I'm going to use two page, okay, to create that. So I'm going to use what we call combo box. Combo box, and this is combo box. We can actually use combo box, or we can use what we call list box. Okay, to do that, so I'm going to click on combo box. Okay, now there are two options. Okay, I want the combo box to get the values from another table. You can, if you're getting the value from another table, and another option is I will type in the values I want. So now I want to type in the values I want. Next. Okay, so the values I want: age 15, age 16, age 17, and then next. Okay, so it says remember the values for later use. No, I want to store this value in a specific field, which is the field age. Next. So what's the name I want to give? I want to give age. Finish. And this changed to age. And we can see that this is drop down. So if you go to the form view, you can see this shows drop down list of the items. So that is how we create and edit a data entry form. Thank you guys so much for watching. The part 2 of this video will be linked in the description of this video. Okay, I don't want the video to be too long. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.